it too. And so my dad would say, put on the gloves. Me and my brother, we didn't have friends over, and my brother's 3 years older. He'd make my brother get on his knees and fight me. And it was, but he'd make us box every day.
When we return, more of my interview with Sammy Hagar. You won't want to miss it. In the early 1980s, Van Halen rocketed to the top of the charts with Jump, featuring Diamond David Lee Roth on lead vocals, Michael Anthony on bass, Alex Van Halen on drums, and his brother, the incomparable Eddie Van Halen, on electric guitar. Meanwhile, Sammy Hagar was enjoying his own success, selling over 1 million albums and packing arenas around the country. But after years of constant touring, Hagar was ready to throw in the towel. That is, until fate stepped in. I want to take you back a ways. You were considering retirement before you got the job with Eddie Van Halen. Tell me about how your love of automobiles, you have a deep and abiding love of cars, how that brought you together.
Looking back now, it's so funny how things happen. So I buy this Ferrari 512 Boxer, my first really big time Ferrari. So I buy it from this guy in LA who could get one. You couldn't get one, so I found this guy and I bought it. So when I went on tour, I gave it to him for the first tune-up. And I guess while I was gone, Van Halen had broke up and Eddie was kind of down and out. And he had Lamborghinis that he would take to this guy to get service too, because this guy was an ace mechanic. And Eddie's looking at my car and he's going, wow, who's that? Whose car is that? That's a nice car. That for sale? You go, no, that's Sammy Hagar's car. And Eddie goes, oh, because I'd met Eddie a couple of times. He was a fan of Montrose, my first band. And he's going, oh. And Claudio goes, oh, you should get him, you should get him into your band. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, you know. Eddie goes, you got his phone number? Yeah. Gives him his phone number. He goes in the guy's office and calls me. Now, I joined Van Halen. We sell 42 million records. They have 5 #1 albums, you know, and tour the world as one of the biggest bands in the world. That is pure coincidence. And I was ready to retire. I was leaving that tour. I just made a whole bunch of money, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I said, I'm tired of working this hard. You know, since I was 26 years old, 24 years old in Montrose, 73, I worked
good luck, have fun,
every day
and
of my life.
Beat them.
I was either writing songs in the studio or recording songs or going on tour. That was it. I go right, you know, new album. Since '73 and then in '84, I'm going. That's enough. You know.
But it turned out it wasn't enough.
No.
So let's see.
I don't think there is now.
On March 27th, 1987, you perform your first show with Van Halen in Shreveport, Louisiana. I want to put an exclamation point. Remember, I'm a Texan. I know Shreveport for the hayloft country music. First of all, what were you doing in Shreveport, Louisiana?
We played, and I played before Van Halen, every city. I played Shreveport 10 times.
This was not the Louisiana Hayride.
No, we were in the arena, 10,000 people, 12,000, sold out, the first show. The album had, I remember all, Valerie Bertinelli's hometown, all the hoopla about me joining the band, but no album had come out yet because we hadn't finished the record, but our manager booked the tour. Right. The tour sold out, you know, first day, every show we did, 136 shows, whatever it was. And that show, I was scared to death because when we're going out, we're going to play the whole new album. I'm saying, I don't want to play the old, just the old stuff. Let's put, you know, and Eddie and we all agreed, hey, let's show them what we got. We had a fantastic record. 50,
well, you're also under pressure because you're succeeding. I didn't use the word replace. You're succeeding David Lee Roth. Got to be a lot of pressure.
No, I didn't feel pressure. I didn't. At the time, as a solo artist, I was really his biggest fan here. At that time, I was selling out double nights everywhere in the country. They were doing about the same. They had just hit that real big one with this song, Jump. They finally had their big, you know, not a #1 album, but they had their top 10, really kind of broke them into a different league of record sales. But everything else to us was kind of on the same level for the few years before that. They were more flamboyant, going out and, being rock stars. So I felt so comfortable with the music that we were playing. I was fine, but I was nervous on that first show because I didn't feel that the audience was going to sit there and listen to us play a bunch of new stuff. But we came out and we opened the show, and they knocked the barricade down and came rushing up, and Eddie and I just looked at each other, let's go. We got them, and that was a big ride for me, being in that band. We broke all the rules and all the records and everything we did. It was like,
broke all the rules.
Pretty
Give me an
special.
example of one of the rules you broke.
Well, first album, we didn't make a video when MTV was the biggest thing that was going. They begged us.
Hey,
we had
they're
meetings
attacking our base.
with our management would go to meetings with Warner Brothers and MTV guys saying, how can we get these guys to make a video? We don't want to make a video. People want to see us, come and see us live, right? Unheard of. Right?
Base is under
and
attack.
Finally, Warner Brothers and MTV paid for the video. Most bands, you pay $300,000, $250,000 videos, they take it out of your royalties. And we held out until Warner Brothers paid for all of our videos. We never paid for a video, so that's about $4 million we got easy relative to other bands. That's breaking rules with the record company, with MTV, and with ourselves. And then we released singles. The first single we released off the album were not the hit. Why Can't This Be Love on 5150 was, but the rest of the years, the next record, we released Black and Blue off the second album as a first single. No video. It's like, we don't want to make a video on that stuff. We'll make a video with the single that's going to be a big hit. But right now, they'll listen. The radio will play anything we give them, and we give them, obscure, nasty lyrics. Let's do it till we're black and blue is pretty nasty.
Pretty rank.
Pretty rank. And we were pushing the buttons and breaking the rules and having a good time doing it. And it kind of gave us a little attitude that we didn't have to put on airs and go out and pretend to be rock stars. We kind of went out there was kind of smirky, not bad guys, at all, but just kind of like we had
kind of outlaw rock.
Yeah, we kind of looked at each other. We could wink and say, "Yeah, we got it. We're kicking butt on this." You know what I mean? It felt pretty good. It kind of made us self-confidence and put us in a different league. I got to say, the Van Halen era was just in a different league of anything in rock and roll that I ever been involved with.
Well, let's stay on that for a moment. Now, David Lee Roth, granted a great performer, but on the record, he's known to have a big personality. When you succeeded him with Van Halen, did you feel pressure to be larger than life replacing him? What did that feel like? What was that like?
I came from a different school. First of all, I was a great performer. I was in better shape than anybody then. I could go for 2 hours and run and jump and scream and jump and everything, and I could sing and play while I'm doing it. I never really had a lot of respect for Dave. I mean, he was a good front man at that style, but that wasn't anything I ever wanted to be. Growing up, when I'm saying I'm going to be a musician, I was looking at Stevie Winwood. I was looking at Eric Clapton. I was looking at Jimmy Page and Peter Townsend. Those are my. Mick Jagger was as close to being flamboyant as I could think about being, and those were my heroes, And a guy like Dave was never somebody that I'd say, "Oh, I want to be like that." And truthfully, Dave, what I found out later, was really into me in Montrose. I had that long mane of hair, and I went up.
Before you.
Yeah, before Van Halen. The Van Halen guys were looking at Montrose like, we want to be like these guys, right? But he took a different turn. It's hard for me to remember, but when I walked into the room with Eddie, Alex, and Michael and Van Halen before that show, and I said, let's see what these guys got. I didn't like that band necessarily. I said, well, I like Eddie's guitar playing. He's a genius, right? But I don't like their image. I don't want to be like that. So let's see what they want from me. And when we just started playing music and I started singing, and they're looking at me like, whoa, you can hit that note? Yeah. Well, you can do this. You can. Eddie's going, wait a minute, whoa. Eddie goes over to the keyboard. Hey, what would you do to this? And we, like, look, I'm getting goosebumps because it was so magic. It was like, whoa. And I'm looking at him going, you can play that keyboard like that? Well, let's write this song. And we were just like kids, and we just went nuts. And we just didn't even consider anything any of us had done previously.
Well, at that time, I'm taking you back in time. You're literally in the process of trying to decide to go with Van Halen. And you said it was a magic moment for you. You still get goosebumps over it. But at that time, what did you think of David Lee Roth?
To me, I wasn't buying it. There was something that was fake about him. I know the old Van Halen fans would, if I'd have said that in the beginning, would have crucified me. But he was the enemy. Eddie and they all hated Dave at that point. You know, he quit the band, he left us high and dry, and now Sammy's our hero, you know, and now in time, things have went all these, you know, like this twice, you know, I came in, him went in, he went again, and it's like, it's such a mess now that I feel confident in saying that he was a showman, period.
That's what you
Liberace was a great showman, but he could play piano, you know. He's in pretty good shape, he's got his little dance in his show, and he's got his rap. But, dude, this Van Halen, this is music, real music. You know,
Upgrade
Eddie, one of
complete.
the greatest genius musicians in rock ever. And you're gonna see
Mineral
that
field
stuff.
depleted.
You should put a little something in there. I'm not jealous. I'm not, you know.
The minerals have up and gone.
Dislike the guy. I don't like him. I don't dislike him. I was around him. He toured with me. We did the Sam and Dave tour, and we went out for a while.
Well, what's the best thing you can say about him?
That in his day, he was a great showman. Like, you know, the early Van Halen stuff, he really helped show Eddie to the world. It was his antics, he got attention. And then they went, who's that guitar player, you know? So let me say something good
Mineral
about
field
those early
depleted.
songs were great. Lyrically even, as silly as Jump is,
The minerals
it's
have up
right
and gone.
on the money. When I heard that song on the radio, I went, damn, those guys did it again, you know? Eddie was so brilliant that you could yell and scream over the top of that, and it was going to be good because he invented
Mineral
something
field
that
depleted.
was unique to your ear. So when you heard a Van Halen song, you heard one of them guitar riffs. Looking back now, that stuff was really, really good. It was bright and shiny and fun, and so everyone liked it. Girls liked it, guys liked it. You know, it was brilliant, and so I can say that Dave was part of that, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that.
It's got what it takes. So tell me why can't this be love?
I want you to take me inside. You said yourself that, you know, you lived the life of sex, drugs, rock and roll. Did you ever? Take me inside. Tell me things that neither I nor anyone on the outside knows about what goes on the inside.
Oh, Dan, you're asking. You might get me in trouble. You know, my wife knows everything. She read the book, and my children even read the book. I can be honest and tell you that everything in there was true, and that the sex part of it was. I'm bordering a sex addict. I must admit. I don't, you know, cheat on my wife anymore. You know, this wife, I don't cheat on my ex-wife. It's the worst husband in the world. But I really wallered in that a lot because it was just so damn much fun. I mean, just to be able to be on stage in the biggest band in the world, you know, and just go, look at your guy on the side, that one, that one, that one, that one. They go out, they give them passes. It's time for Eddie's guitar solo, which usually took about 17 to 20 minutes. I go down to my little booth where I had my little private room. We all
Our
had little
army
private
be
rooms.
scrapping.
And those girls would be in there. And I mean, it was just like, not even like, okay, may the best one win, you know?
No, I don't know.
And in your business standing, you guys don't. That was a run for about 5 or 6 years where I burned myself out on sex, not to where I didn't want it anymore. I couldn't have orgasms.
That I don't believe.
No, that's what I mean. No, not that I didn't want it. I couldn't have orgasm for like, you know, 4 or 5 days at a time. And I'd have sex 3 or 4 times a day.
Might be too much information.
Well, that you asked for it.
That's true. I asked for it.
But it was that kind of a thing. For me, that was my big indulgence. You know, the drugs part of it, yeah, you know, no big deal at all. And then cocaine or something, I'd be around, and then I'd start thinking, hey, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, I got to sing tomorrow night, I got to get out of here. And you know, I always had those kind of discipline, and everybody else did. But the drinking, same thing. I never.
The
liked
minerals
to
have up and gone.
Yeah, but the sex, I couldn't stop. Get the knock on the door 4 in the morning. I'll be like, oh, come on in, you know. Pretty fun. I mean,
Well, I think it's probably time we change the subject. Before doing so, should I be afraid to throw a rock down the street or hear a big ring with children after something?
well,
Mineral field
no,
depleted.
because in this world, I would have been definitely someone would come after me. See a lot of money with people, and I'm so lucky. I never had a venereal disease ever, and a lot of times I didn't say I didn't suit up. It was a spontaneous situation, you know. But I was careful. I was just, you know. I mean, I'm once again, I have discipline, and so.
Tell me about your best time with Van Halen. What was the very best time you can remember?
Ooh, there were so many good times. There was 9 years of nothing but the best, rich, you know, fame and fortune and indulgence, and never having a down thing. Nothing happened bad for like probably 7 years. But one of the highlights was definitely when our first album got together. We did our thing. We'd already played Shreveport. I remember so you think about the area. So when we hit Atlanta,
The minerals have up
a
and
week
gone.
later, 10 days later, the album came out, went #1. And we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and none of us had ever had a #1 album. We had had everything else, let me tell you. But we just sat in a room and just hugged and just high-fived. It was such a good feeling, such a great thing that we did it. You know, like, you know, everyone was questioning it. Hey, is this gonna work with Sammy? You know, hey, Dave, just like what you said, you know, Dave was such a flamboyant character. Can you feel them shoes? And we were in there making this music going, yeah, shut up. You know, these guys, yeah, wait till they hear this. Wait till they hear this. And when they heard it, you know, and it exploded. And that was a big moment for all of us.
That was the best of times. What was the worst of times with Van Halen?
Well, the worst thing that happened to Van Halen before the reunion, because the reunion was its own thing. It don't even register in any rock and roll story. It just was so bizarre. But the ending, our manager, my dear friend
Your
and
upgrade is
mentor,
done.
Mr. Ed Leffler, who was my manager when I joined Van Halen, had been my manager for my whole career, 10 years. And one man dog. He managed Sammy Hagar, and when I joined Van Halen, he managed Van Halen until 1995.
Up,
When
your
he died,
forces
he
are
managed
under
it. It was a
attack.
horrible thing. And when he died, it's like the band just went pyong. Every vulture came at us. Every manager on the planet, every promoter, every this, every that, the record company executives, everyone came after us, and we were vulnerable. These people came after us and just destroyed that band, ate us alive. Everybody went to Eddie, the guy who had never opened his mouth, who was not a leader in any way. I was the leader of that band. David Lee Roth was the leader of that band.
Mineral
They come
field
to Eddie.
depleted.
You
Research
don't let this guy run your
complete.
band? You know, because I would say, fuck you, get out of here. You know what I mean? Hey, we ain't going with you. You know, I'll tell the guys, hey, we're not going to talk to those assholes. I know who those people are.
But they go to Eddie.
The minerals have up and gone.
You know what this guy said and you said it? And they just turned us against each other.
Your upgrade is done.
They got a new manager who came in through the back door, and he came influencing the other guys. And as soon as I left and everything bombed and everything he had planned went in the toilet, they fired me out. And it's just been chaotic ever since.
Been chaotic ever since. That includes the reunion. You said you feel like yourself.
It was the worst experience of my life.
Tell me.
Rescue
Eddie was
geysers
completely
exhausted.
Whacked
Well,
out on the
upgrade
charts
complete.
on alcohol and drugs. Poor guy. I mean, he was really in bad shape. I thought he was going to die. Go on YouTube and listen to the you couldn't even recognize the song. There'd be nights where he'd start the song, and I'd look at Mike.
Mineral
and
field
look
depleted.
At Al, and I'll be, look at the set list. that ain't the song, but it ain't nothing like it. I never heard it. And then he'd noodle around, and then
The
finally he'd
Minerals
fall
have
into
up
the
and
thing,
gone.
and it would kind of be like the song, and it was rough. And then I tried to quit after 40 shows. We had 80 shows. We did a contract, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna die. First of all, every night it would be like, I'd sit in my dressing room and wait till I hear his guitar go, and then I'll look at Mike and go, he's up there.
Your
Who's
upgrade's
that
done.
happy yet? And so we went up and played, and it was horrible. He did horrible things to people. He was so bad. He was a complete raving maniac. I've never met a person like this in my life. Trying to bust windows out of a G5 airplane at 40,000 feet with a wine bottle smashing, wine flying all over the roof. It ain't even our plane. It's a rental plane. You know, kicking windshields out of cars. You know, turning his hotel room upside down. Wear the same clothes for 5 days. On stage, off stage, no shirt. You know, just going around freezing cold, snowing outside. He's walking around with no shirt.
Upgrade
bottle of wine in
complete.
his hand, no teeth. I mean, it was horrible. I just don't know how he let himself go to that point. And when I tried to quit, there was an attorney that drew up a contract, I guess, that I signed that said
Mineral
I'd have to
field
pay these guys
depleted.
off for all the money they would have lost. And that. So I stuck it out. I haven't talked to the guy since, and I still really have a bad taste in my mouth for what happened. And thank God he got himself together. He would not be alive another year. Well, I guess the next tour he went out on.
Vespine, Geyser, and
Eddie's
the
a
Minerals
sweet
have
human
up and
being.
gone.
He's talented, and he's a sweet, wonderful heart guy. He's got some demons, you know, and he's not the only person I know like that. When I saw those demons take all of them, because he was, when we got along good, he was one of the best friends I've ever had. Sad.
Always talking to who's.
It is.
Well, there's no more gas with this one.
Pick me up so high where eagles
Mineral field depleted.
There is no doubt that Sammy Hagar leads a fast life, and not just with music. For as long as he can remember, he told me, he's been fascinated with cars, real expensive cars. In his garage are now parked 17, many of them six-figure Ferraris. He still has the black
Minerals
Ferrari
have up
that
and
was
gone.
used in the video for his breakout hit in 1984 called I Can't Drive 55.
Research complete. Mineral field depleted.
Tell me about I Can't Drive 55.
Well, Dan, it's the truth.
It's your best known song. Would you say it's your best known song?
Yeah. That song has earned more money from different types of licensing, you know, for TV commercials, for movies, for football games, for, I don't know, NASCAR races, you know, Indy 500, than any song, including the Van Halen songs like Right Now. You know, Right Now is a very big licensed song. But I can judge it as my #1 performing song in my whole career.
So question, what was your driving record before you did I Can't Drive 55?
My driving record was pitiful. I think I had like 3 tickets or something like that. Had my license taken away 3 times. My insurance for the kind of cars I had, and back then I didn't have as much as I got now, but I had some pretty nice cars, was like $120,000 a year. And it was rough. Like, you know, if I like one more ticket and you're
The Minerals finished learning.
able to drive, you're gonna take your license away for good, and you know. So when I wrote that song, it changed everything. People don't realize that I gotta be careful saying this, you know. I've only had 2 tickets since 1984.
Mineral field
and
depleted.
nothing's changed in the way I drive. I get pulled over all the time, and
Oh, you get pulled over all the time, and because you're who you are, cop says, I'll let you go.
yeah, I feel kind of guilty saying that, but sorry, it's true.
It's true.
Upgrade complete.
And if there's one car that will surely get you pulled over, it is this speedster. Sammy Hagar is the proud owner of this rare Ferrari, a $1.3 million rocket on wheels.
You know, the craftsmanship, the hand
Our army
work,
be
this is all
scrapping.
handmade, and it just...
Sammy told me that in order to get on the list for one of these incredible machines, you have to purchase 3 Ferraris a year for 3 years. I bet your car payments are very high. That's about $3 million. And even then, you aren't guaranteed one. So when Sammy offered to take me for a spin, I knew this was one opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Now, Dan, here's the best way to get in. Here, watch this. You just sit right here, kind of, you know,
Right?
and then
Okay.
just slide your butt in, and and there's a handle right here.
I got it.
There you go. And then just swing in
Swing
and swing
around.
your feet around the best you can. Look at us. Me and Uncle Dan are gonna go for a little ride.
It's like being in the cockpit of some space shuttle.
It really is a space shuttle, and there's no trunk, nothing.
Your
Look at
forces
this.
are
Here's the
under
glove
attack.
compartment. Look at this. It's got enough room for
For a Kleenex.
no, for the registration. That's it. That's it.
I can see why you fall in love with it.
It's just a piece of art, you know, and functional art. Drive the damn thing.
Do you ever race cars?
I did a couple times. I ain't got the guts for that. These cars are so they're so overqualified. I'm so underqualified to drive the damn car. I could get on a racetrack in this car that could probably beat anything on the street, and some guy could get in that little car over there and beat my ass. Because I'm chicken.
Well, I'll tell you something. Confidentially, I don't feel qualified to even ride in.
I told you, it's like bungee jumping. Being in that seat is like saying, no, it's like, what do you call those guys that dive out of airplanes with somebody on their back? You're the guy on the guy's back. Oh, shit. It's very special. It's got a electric motor in it for the front wheels, and when it stops, once it's warmed up, the engine goes
minerals
on.
have up
They
and
pull
gone.
The damn thing stalling. It's nice.
Now, how many horsepower is that?
About
1,000 horsepower?
it's the latest and the greatest. I'm just barely touching this gas pedal.
This is the top of the line, called La Ferrari, or the Ferrari. Top speed is over 200 miles per hour. Magic feel. I've never been in a Ferrari anywhere near this level.
Yeah, this is something else. Well, this is there is no Ferrari on this level. This is the level. This is what they call their Lewis supercar. It's got every bit of technology that Ferrari has in all their F1. It's in this car. It does things with the brakes that would blow your mind.
Mineral field depleted.
I just barely.
Your forces are under
minerals
attack.
have up and gone.
Wow.
It just keeps doing that.
And how many gallons to the mile?
I don't think any. I don't think you get any. Oh, no, any gallons in a mile. Yeah, exactly. You like that?
Mineral field depleted. Our army be scrapped. The minerals have up and gone.
The brakes are so good, it probably scares you half to death thinking this son of a bitch ain't gonna
the
stop.
first time it did, but now I realize the brakes are so good on it.
I haven't even pushed on them yet. Look at these guys.
Your forces are under attack.
Some of these young kids in there putting their
You know, for me, it's like a carnival ride.
That's exactly what it is. How about this shit? Huh? Now watch, the police come down.
Wow.
What if the
Wow.
if the police came, they'd be going, oh hell, it's Sammy, no wonder. We heard something was going on. What the hell? There we go. I made it without scrape. Tiny scrape.
You don't get out of this car just as much as you unfold.
There you go,
army
Dan.
be
Let me help you out. There we go, like this. There's my brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Woo!
Your
Wait,
forces
what a
are
ride.
under
My
attack.
famous line. Dan, are we having any fun
Mineral
yet?
field depleted.
Well, we're having a good time. You know, I have
minerals
the sense,
have
though,
up
that it's
and
a little
gone.
underpowered.
Yeah, you know, they don't make them like they used to. That smog device on there, you know, it slows it down. If this
No,
thing
it's a
was any
wonderful
faster,
ride.
I don't see what you could do. I don't know what it would be good for. You know, I haven't even come close to hitting the limits. But look
Well, I
at
will
those
say
brakes.
it's a unique experience to ride it,
Look at that brake.
Our army
That's
be
as big as
scrapping.
most tires on cars.
and there's no trunk space anywhere.
No, there's not a trunk in here.
Your upgrade
Sorry,
is
can't
done.
even take her makeup bag in there without being uncomfortable. It's a man's car. Just take a pair of underwear, stick them in your pocket, a pair of socks, put them in the other pocket, and you're good to get a toothbrush in your top pocket. You're good to go.
Straight ahead, a rare treat. Sammy sings from the heart a brand new song. You'll want to hear it.
The minerals have up and gone. Resting geyser exhausted.
You know, I'd talk
Your
music
forces
with
are
you
under
the rest of the
attack.
afternoon, but you a businessman. On the record, you big entrepreneurs. So let me move to that. Tell me how
Base
this
is under
Cabo
attack.
Wabo tequila plan developed.
I think growing up, I was one of those guys that didn't drink much, but when I drank tequila, I liked it. The ritual, the salt, the lime, the party, it just seemed like something about tequila brought you up and made you like have fun. I wasn't a beer drinker. I couldn't stand beer. Anyway, so when I opened the Cabo Wabo, I went to Mexico and bought a place in Cabo San Lucas in 1983. And I started living down there. And so I said, I'm going to build my own little place. You know, I'm I'm a rock star. I'm rich. You know, I'm going to do this. This is before Van
One of Al and my first find as a well before Van Halen became a flamenco guitar lessons, which is still respectable. I bought myself a drum kit, $125 St. George Japanese drum set, paid by having a paper out. While I'm out doing the paper job, Al was playing my drums, and he just got better, and drums came natural to him. Whereas it was work for me.
Now here's my version.
No, I'm just saying. Guitar came natural for me, and drums came natural for Al, so it was a logical thing.
When I played guitar, I could play the chords, I could read, I could do the strumming, the rest of the thing. But to me,
That's all I
there
do.
was no connection with the instrument. To me, it was just a piece of wood with vinyl strings on it. Ed picked up the guitar one time, and I just heard him.
That's the
and
problem. See, I put steel strings on it. No, I'm kidding.
No, but it didn't take a genius to hear that Ed had a connection with it. And it's that simple. And of course, the part about the drum set and the paper route, sure, that was all true. But if it hadn't been for the fact that Ed had that connection with the guitar, it
No,
wouldn't
the
have,
other way
it wouldn't have
around. If it
mattered.
hadn't been because he got better on the drums, I never would have played his guitar.
Okay.
With that issue settled, Eddie and Alex went on to form a three-piece band in high school, which is where a young bass player named Michael Anthony first caught wind of them.
I actually first heard about Eddie and Alex when I was in high school, and I was then playing in a band called Snake. And I remember there was a carnival that our high school would have every year on the football field, and their band happened to be playing, and they were called Mammoth. It was Eddie, Alex, and their bass player then, his name was Mark Stone. And Eddie was doing the lead singing, and they were playing Cream, and I remember them playing Grand Funk Railroad, and doing it like exactly. And I remember thinking, wow, check this guitarist out. He's playing the stuff note for note. They did like the whole Live at Leeds thing, and that was the first time that I actually ever saw those guys play, and I was pretty impressed by it.
About a year later, David Lee Roth had joined Eddie and Alex's band. They changed the group's name to Van Halen, and not long after, Michael Anthony got this phone call.
I got a call from Eddie and Alex one night, and they asked me to come over and jam with them. And I actually asked one of my brothers, my brother Bob, to come down with me because I was nervous. 'Cause these guys at that point, I had heard that they were playing Gazzaris out in Hollywood, and I was playing. I mean, we were doing okay. I was just playing jeans and T-shirts, backyard parties, things like that, in high schools. I went and jammed with them, and it was in a little garage they were rehearsing it in Pasadena, and Roth was not there. It was just Eddie and Alex, and I set up, and we jammed and jammed and jammed, and I have a feeling they put me through every kind of beat change they could think of. And when we were through playing, they asked me if I'd like to join the band, and my mouth kind of opened up a little bit, and I went, sure.
What was it like going from Pasadena to like the Strip and taking Van Halen out in the clubs and doing like the whiskey and
good
Gazzaris
traffic,
and
about
that?
half an hour, bad traffic. No.
It's very strange because I'll never forget, Dave liked to think of himself as I would say like not a Bowie clone, but he dressed, with the clogs and the funny looking pants and the hair standing on end. So when we were in Pasadena, everybody thought we were a Hollywood band. Then we come to Hollywood, and of course, Ed, Mike, and I are in jeans and T-shirts, and they thought we were a Pasadena band. So you can't win for losing. You know what I mean? Just this, and we played.
We auditioned the Handlebar Saloon in Pasadena, our hometown club, okay? The first time they wouldn't hire us because they claimed that our audience was too rowdy. I mean, yeah, they were. I mean, I'll never forget, we played a backyard party once. It was written up in the paper. 19 people got busted and stuff, and
4 cop cars were turned over.
4 cop cars got turned over. I'll never forget. A group of guys took one cop. They took his handcuffs and handcuffed him around a tree. With his own handcuffs. But anyway, yeah, that was wild teenage. That was our audience.
But again,
and
nothing.
They wouldn't hire us for that. Okay, then we start playing Hollywood, and we come back, and then they say, "No, you're too Hollywood."
How did you guys build up a following in the early days?
Actually, when we were gigging, whether it be for a party or a club or whatever, we'd make up our own flyers, and we would just flyer the hell out of everywhere. I remember we'd promote our own shows at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, and we would draw, like, just on word of mouth and flyers, 5,000 people to these gigs. And we would go to, like, Aerosmith concert over at Anaheim Stadium, flyer all the cars. We'd say, okay, Ed, tonight you're going to hit Pasadena High School. Mike, you hit Arcadia High, and go over to Monrovia, and Dave, and Al, and we would all get our section, and we would go out and just flyer. And we really tried to build up a following rather than look for a record contract, because there became a point to where it was like all of a sudden, hey, it's happening.
At what point did you guys say, okay, it's time to get serious? We want to get a record deal. We want to
Never.
be bigger.
Never. We were always serious about what we did.
Yeah.
The record deal, we didn't pursue a record deal.
We didn't know how.
Yeah, we had a couple of meetings here and there with people, with the breadsticks and that kind of thing.
But that didn't pan out. It was a year later that, after Gene tried to help us, that Ted Temple and Mo Austin saw us at the Starwood.
So what was it like when Mo and Ted came in? Did you know they were going to be coming that night?
No, we didn't know
Did they
Gene
just
was
come
there
and
either.
surprise you, go, hey, listen,
Yeah.
I want to work with you? Was it like
No, they were
that?
just real kind of quiet, and it was like, do you guys ever...
It was
No?
It was 99-cent beer night, and
A rainy Monday night, if I
and 3
remember
people
right.
were in the audience, and 2 of them were Mo and Ted.
Did they really sign you the next day?
Close to it.
I wanted to get your feelings on what it was like when you first heard yourself on the radio and what you were doing at the time.
I was told that they were going to play it like at 2 o'clock in the morning on, I think, what was then KMET, 94.7. And I stayed up, had a little clock radio, and I heard it. And I ran to your room, went, Al, we're on the radio!
Your forces
And-
are under attack.
It's still the same. Every time I hear us on the radio, it's the same thrill,
army
excitement.
is
It's like,
scrapping.
I still feel like a little kid, like, wow, we're really on the radio.
And you still get the charge out of it today.
Oh, God, yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you remember most about the time before you guys really broke through and knew that you were going to be a big rock act? When you're kind of in limbo, the first record just comes out, you're just getting, into that groove with, the Warner Brothers record deal. You got Ted Templeman comes in and produce you guys. What do you remember in the very early days prior to making it happen?
After the album came out, one thing I really thank God for is that it was a steady building process. I'm glad we didn't bust onto the scene like maybe a Boston or a band like that around that time where all of a sudden they're thrown into the stadiums and whatever, because I think we really appreciate the success a lot more. And gosh, I remember our first tour we opened up was supposed to be like 6 weeks opening up for Journey. We played all the Masonic temples and the small 2,000-3,000 seaters, and after a while it was almost like they wanted to kick us off the tour at the end of every week, and their people were telling them, no, you better keep them on the tour because I think they're selling a lot of tickets. They're doing good. But it was like a steady process. We were offered gigs, big gigs, and we refused most of them, because we wanted to still just work on a solid following.
Recording of the first 3 records, it didn't take a whole ton of time. I mean, you guys were pretty much in and out.
Well, we had, even before the first record, we had so much material that at that point, it's like, just kind of picking and choosing from that stuff. And like you said, for the first 3 albums, we had an excess of material that we were still like going through. Got to even think all the way up even to like 5150, we're still sometimes grabbing a little tidbit from here and there from a song that was back on the first demo tape that we did for Warner Brothers. So it was very simple. Just run the tape and we just played it live.
Let's go to Women and Children first for a minute. It's your 3rd record. You're off 2 multi-platinum records. What do you remember about recording this record? I understand
I
only
remember
took 2 weeks to record.
Sitting in the basement.
For 2 weeks straight in Dave's father's basement. I got this Wurlitzer piano.
Through a Marshall
through
amp.
my Marshall amps. And just every day, I would go in there.
For hours.
For 2 weeks.
For hours.
This is really cool.
But where's that next chord?
Yeah.
Where's that next
Go
chord?
find that chord. Boom. Like the 15th day, there it came, and it's just magic, But we pounded that song
Into the ground.
Yeah.
just that chorus riff for 2 weeks straight.
But what's great about
I
it,
just couldn't find where. I didn't know where to go from there. And all of a
what's-
sudden, boom, it came.
what's great about it is it's like entrainment. It's as old as shamans. It's as old as African drumming. It's as old as anything that people do to get themselves in a different state of mind. We would sit there and play that thing until we became almost hypnotic and didn't realize what time it was. 5 hours would go by and play the same damn thing until finally, like Ed said, on the 5th day.
No, it was more like 2 weeks.
Okay, the 15th day, the second chord came. The second chord is very important,
That led to the verse, back to the chorus, and then to the solo, and then to the end.
That's right. And we kept that under 4 minutes.
Following Women and Children first came Van Halen's 4th album, Fair Warning, released in the spring of 1981.
Fair warning, and I'll give you my read on it. I watched Ed being creatively frustrated. And Ed probably worked harder on the music for that record than anybody had ever seen. Almost to the point where I felt guilty for even sleeping. I felt like, Ed, I should stay up with you just to suffer with you.
It just seemed like nobody cared. Or I would go down to the studio with Don Landy at 4 o'clock in the morning and do all my guitar parts. And I guess, there was so much blow around that people didn't even know. They thought that I did it that day, or, But it just seemed like I couldn't do what I wanted to do during the day. So I snuck in at night and did all the guitar solos and all the guitar parts without anyone even knowing that I didn't do it when they thought I did.
Was there many tensions brewing between various band members at that time?
Yeah, I'd say starting songs. I met Valerie then, and Dave didn't dig that because all of a sudden here I am in the Globe and all the rags, which is totally not me. I mean,